Well, since I don't edit, this is probably going to be like a 2-minute add-on video because this camera stops recording somewhere between 22 and 23 and 24 seconds. Some will go to 24 and a half, but I always get rushed at the end. Anyway, what I was trying to say is, what I was ending up with is that this case looks to me like it's going to have plenty of capacity to push the thing the way I want. And if the fire forming, if the case making process is as easy as chop it off, trim it to length to make headspace, cramp a bullet in there, fire, and from there on, you don't need dies or anything. It's fitted neck. I'll have to play with those numbers a little bit. But the point is, my first one's going to be a fitted neck, and I should be able to fire this thing pretty much ad infinitum. And since I blew that, I am going to try one other thing with this particular gun. I've been fighting torque. So, against my better judgment, just to give a few seconds onto this video, I'm going to go ahead and share another idea that I've had. First thing I found out with the 50 BMG is even with that super light twist rate that it comes with, like 15 or something, they still torque. That big bullet still torques the system. So I've gone to the 5-inch wide forearms, I've gone to the channeling or the drop down or the whatever you want to call it on those, so that the forend is shaped like that in cross section, so that the bags come down and it rides, and it actually, you know, it rides on these two rails. Call it a rail system. Well, this situation is just going to be a conventional stock with a barrel in it and butt stock back here with really nothing on it, and it's going to try to torque. It's going to try to spin. That's the back of a gun stock, in case you didn't know. This is the barrel with the big 50. This is the forestock, and this right here is the butt stock. There, I'll darken it so now you can see that that's a recoil pad right there sitting in the bags. Okay, so when this thing tries to torque, there's nothing really to resist it because it's just got this round forearm, and this is going to be sitting in kind of a cradle, but the rest of it can rock around. So I'm going to be doing some things here. Somewhere at the rear of the barrel, I'm hoping to probably put a clamp on right up against the action and run like a bow type stabilizer out here. I used to shoot bow a lot, and the stabilizer does wonderful things. This is going to be like a, if you look at the old native boats that run around, I won't call them, I get the idea of catamaran stuck in my head because that's a double hull boat, but that's not it at all. Some of the little dugout boats that the natives twirl around intend to flip over, and so they stick an outrigger out here with a coconut hanging on it or something, so when the boat tries to, well, this concept, you can take a bar out here and a weight, and when the gun slams and tries to counter or tries to torque, that just happens to be a counterclockwise motion from this position, so I'm doing this, you know, counter. I realized, no, forget what I just said. I'm going to try a stabilizer assembly here to see if I can take up some of that torque. It'll help with recoil too. It might make the gun just go cockeyed, so I might have to do something with two of them to balance it out. Then it's going to really look like a trireme of some sort. But the point is to fight torque. Here's the thing. I talked before on the last video about we're going out into no man's land where nobody's gone before. And some can say, I don't have any books, I don't have any road maps, I don't have any idea. I'm going to be using all different kind of powders because I understand powders well enough that I can do that safely. There are people who claim that, oh, you're being unsafe by going out, because I've developed a lot of cartridges that I have no data on of any sort. And but I can use this to illustrate that when dude goes out and walks over Niagara Falls on a tightrope, or when he walks between two buildings on a tightrope, a person out walking a tightrope doesn't have a death wish. They don't even get adrenaline rush from it like maybe a rock climber does, or a dirt bike flipper jumper BMXer type thing. No, they're skilled and they have an outrigger. The dude walking on the tightrope has got his pole that he's hanging on to, and with that pole, this being the tightrope of course, he can stabilize himself. I've actually done a little tightroping before down low to the ground, just enough to know that yeah, holding this pole, this stabilizer, really makes it easy, makes it work. Now the nutballs, the people who are death-defying, death-seeking, out there trying to hurt themselves, are not the guys like me that'll go, okay, I can dive from 30 feet, 40 feet, 50 feet, 60 feet into the water incrementally and do it safely. Where a guy that's climbing rocks without ropes and any sort of gear, this free climbing, rock climbing thing that kills people every year, I have absolutely no remorse for that, and I don't support it in any way. You're going to go out there and climb up El Capitan naked, you're on your own, dude. You probably die. That's death-defying. What we're doing here is not even treading the edges of danger. But, to use the tightrope analogy, I'm going to try fight that little bit of the torque thing with a tightrope stick. That's just something I've never talked about before, and it may not even work for a while, but these guns torque so bad that this is the time to try it, maybe. And the other thing is to say that even though we're going out and we're going to learn about pressure signs, we're going to learn how to see pressure signs, how to see if a powder is building in a step-by-step pattern. One of the things that has happened now that we've got a bunch of internet heroes out spreading around ideas, one of them that has been spread around and now has got hundreds of people trying it, thousands, is the ladder test idea. And one of the things people notice is, hey, how come my ladder test doesn't just go boop, 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 boop? Well, that's a great question. And it's very true that the ladder test, or any kind of a velocity increase incremental test, does show flat spots and plateaus, and there is also times when it can, the powder you're using could head for the sky. So what we're doing is not going to be, even though we have I just built a chamber on the lathe, no gauges, no anything. I'm going to build brass to fit it, and actually I've already done that. I could take this case right here, I believe it was, jam a bullet in there and a primer and powder and go fire it as far as I know. And it might be that when I put the bullet in there and this thing swells up 4 or 5 thou, that it will no longer, I'll have to go to the next size smaller. But that's okay, that's all accounted for. I could go out and shoot this tonight, and in fact when I get off this video I'd be checking in with my wife and saying, you already dropped me at the airport, you coming back, we gonna kick back? And if she's still an hour out, I just might bolt this pig together and go out and shoot some in the dark, because, I mean, it'll be 11:15. That's not a problem here. I can do that just fine. So I need to get off of here, and oh, here's something that I should mention to you. This is obviously I'm not going to do a tutorial on how to trim cases, and y'all know how to do that, but I'm going to say very few people know about this particular tool. After I cut these to length, this particular tool does a bang-up, quick job. Now this is another of those tools that some people love and some people hate. I can bear down this way a little bit and peel off the outside, and back off here and peel out the inside. These are actually cutting flutes also. And this case is one that was, the reason this thing's here is because I just made I was going to throw this through it. It's a perfect case and it's head spaced right. And I was going to show how I just trimmed this up, boom, stick it in the gun. But unfortunately we ran out of time on the last video. And this video, there's really no time or place for setup on it. So we're just going to quit boring you with stupid details so you don't have to listen to me. And hopefully this ties in with the last one a little bit and finishes the thought I had as the last one crashed and burned. So maybe next time you see me we'll have some fired cases and we'll find out if my whole stupid headspace off the case mouth, blow a shoulder in, now got a perfectly head-spaced case. Now we also have something that if my fitted neck idea doesn't work and I do need to use a die, I've got a handful of 50 Beowulf dies, 58 E dies, various short little 50, oh man, what's the, doesn't matter. I think I have, I try to play with the kids that play with ARs, even though I'm not, I've got a 458 SOCOM and a 50 Beowulf, and you know, I want to stay conversant, even though I'm not an AR guy. My son-in-law's an AR guy. My cousin's kid is an AI armorer, trained in the Corps. I have AI guys around me that I just defer to. I don't even pretend. I've put on adjustable gas blocks and I fiddled with this stuff 25 years ago, but now, dude, this, the whole thing, the whole, plastic semi-automatic gun thing has just come, and there's a couple of other entrants on the market right now over and above the AR-15 platform and the AR-10 platform, so I got a little confused there in my verbiage, but let's just say I've got some AR-15s and some AR-10s in some weird exotic cartridges, but I don't call myself any kind of anything about them. They're not really my thing. But the reason I digressed a little is because I've come to find out there are people out there fitting the whisper case to the AR-15. And I went through this with, I believe it's Buddy with the Beowulf or the SOCOM. Anyway, I talked to the originator of the SOCOM and the originator of the Beowulf, both about pushing big bullets back the last time on the go-around, and found out they will not work, and they'll certainly not work in an AR platform. Even an AR-10 platform. This thing, if it does what I want it to, would feed through, and will feed through a short action, Magnum bolt face, very standard Remington style, custom or not. It'll feed like a 308, as I just showed you. There's the scale with the 308. So it's very easy to set this up to feed through it. And that brings, I just figured I'd touch on the AR platform idea, the AR-15, before anybody. I had to go through this and I had to get clarified, and I'll never forget I talked to, I think the guy's name was Buddy, and I think he's the one that did the SOCOM work, but it may have been the guy that did the Beowulf work. One of them is an engineer and a designer and whatever, and I said, what's the biggest bullets you guys sell for the 50 Beowulf or the 458? And they're like, oh, 425 grains, 450 grains. I said, what would happen if I put a 750 grain AMAX in one of those 50s? And he said, it would blow to pieces in your hands. You'd crack the frame immediately. That's over the top. So I put the whole AR platform aside, and I've never talked about that in this go-around. And it's hubris upon all of us that I mentioned that this particular thing will never work. And because my mouth is so much slower than my brain when I'm talking to you people, I got way off into the weeds here a minute ago, thinking that I might have ran across a semi-automatic platform recently that would handle the energy generated by this 750 grain bullet in this case. But then, as my secondary forebrain kicked in and started thinking, yeah, but would it handle the 1,000 grainer? So, there was a tour inside of my head which was kind of a TMI experience, I know, for all of yous. But the one thing that I can pass on to you is, this has got way too much slamming and jamming going on to be used in any AR. Elon Musk is in the news lately with his AI stuff. So, anyway, AR-10 even will not handle this thing, even though it'll handle the 308 just fine. Will not handle this big pig, because what you might not be seeing on this is, yeah, relative size, but this thing's got 50% more case capacity, because it is one hang of a lot bigger around. So, just leave you with that before anybody get watching this and get excited and say, hey, I can put a barrel like this on my AR, because after all, they make AR Beowulfs and SOCOMs. They don't make this. This is over twice the energy that any except this one that I'm thinking about. There's one that I'm not going to share. I won't even talk about it until if I decide I like this and I decide I want a semi-automatic hopping and popping zombie whopper, then I might take this idea that I have in my head about a much stronger semi-automatic to play with. But probably not. I'm a bolt action guy. I'm about the accuracy. And as I was trying to say as I wrapped up the video, my goals on this are pretty modest. I'm going for 1 MOA at this point. I know there's guys on the inner tube that are saying, oh, we shoot .2 with these things all day long. They're fun, little this and that. And I went on a rant last time. It's fun. What are you talking about? This thing is effective. This is a monster. This is the best hog kill. And oh, let's not even get started. How much fun is it to have something that puts as much energy on the target at 600 yards as a 300 Win Mag shooting 180s. And again, 17 inches of wind drift. People, wrap your mind around that. That's negligible. That's like hold over a little bit and dump it in. I think this is an exciting cartridge, but let's find out if this thing even works. My old fart blossom might just die on the vine instead of blooming in the air. We'll see.